both the transcription and the recording. So if you don't want that to be on, or you don't want to be on it, then don't say anything or do anything. We have two folks with us today that not only are they amazing at what they do, but they're some of my favorite people. And so we didn't even talk about my t-shirt background match. So naturally wearing my Fulton County Vanguard t-shirt. I've got my background just like my dear friend Megan here. And Hoke and Megan are going to talk to us about that synchronous learning. So Hoke is going to start it off from the instructional side, like the instructional technical side of what did they do. He's their tech director there in Fulton County Schools, like I said, where I got my start in education. And Megan is a rock star, and I'm going to also give a promo. Be paying attention to your TVs in the end of October, beginning of November, because our super friends at Fulton County are going to be debuting in a national Teams commercial. So it is so stinking adorable. You are going to love it when you see it. And Megan is one of those faces you'll see. So hopefully you'll catch it on TV. But I'm going to turn it over to you guys. I'm going to turn off my mic and video, and it is all you, Hoke and Megan.
All right, thank you so much. And I'm not adorable, so that's why I was chosen not to be in the video. They actually specifically asked for me not to be in it, so I was pretty excited about that. Thank you so much for the introduction. I want to say too, what an amazing partner we have in Microsoft. They have been extraordinary throughout this whole COVID pandemic. They've been there for us. We certainly would not be able to make the progress that we've made as a district without them. Just amazing partners. Can't say enough good things about them. So I wanted to just kind of set the stage to talk about some of the issues that we've been dealing with as a district. I pasted in the chat a link to our back to school plan, and it's been a very complicated process. Certainly, it's been a process that's been changing. But I think one of the things that's made it easier is our remarkable leadership. We have what I would say is one of the most effective governing bodies with our school board. They are 7 remarkable women, and they just do such a great job leading our district. And then we've got an incredible superintendent who has, again, just done the best job in trying to position Fulton County in a good place for our students, for our teachers, for our families. And I think that's the other piece as we look at our reaction to what's been happening, is this holistic view and trying to not only take care of the technology side, but also take care of our families in ways that we've never had to do before. Dropping off meal kits, dropping off learning packets. We've extended the number of devices that we've handed out to go all the way down to 2nd grade now. And then we have learning packets that'll take care of the younger kids that can't maybe use a computer due to literacy and other issues. And we've actually partnered with our television station here to broadcast so that air, land, and sea, we're trying to address the needs of our students in every way that we can. And so we've actually, last week, I think it was, we began returning back to face-to-face, but that was optional. And so, as Heather said, we've entered into a thing that we call simultaneous learning, where we have some students at home and some students at school. And that presents a lot of unique challenges for the teachers especially, because you've got students sitting in front of you, and then you've got students at home watching you on a camera. And so suddenly a lot of the instructional practices that all of us, at least all of us that have been teachers, would come to know as far as how you teach face-to-face or how you teach virtual, you've got to start melding those two together. And so it's very, very challenging for our teachers. I think, one of the many ways that we've been able to get past a lot of the issues that we've had is with our governance model around Microsoft Teams. It's definitely helped us to provide a more consistent platform across our district. It's also not been as big of a barrier for our students because we've adopted Teams across our district. That is our platform, and that's what we're doing. Megan, I'm going to let Megan kind of take it a little bit from here and talk a little bit from the classroom side. And then Heather, will we take questions after this?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So usually around anywhere between 4:50 and 4:55, we do those questions.
Okay. Yeah. So again, Megan Endicott is a classroom teacher, but she's also in our executive leadership with our what we call the Vanguard team. And I know Heather was representing us here at the beginning, and that's a coalition of the willing. We have 4 teachers approximately in every school. They don't get paid extra money for this, but they do get extra services and extra equipment and other things. And Megan is just such a remarkable leader in that respect and is one of our executive leaders. So Megan, I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thanks, Hoke. And in true teacher fashion, I have a presentation prepared for you, so stand by. All right, of course, right? This is what makes it fun. So I'm going to talk to us a little bit about the teaching in that synchronous learning environment specifically. Our district has 3 different models that they're kind of offering, and schools were able to select these models. I know Hoke was talking about that. So we are going to focus in on the simultaneous model, which again is teaching both face-to-face and remote learners at the same time. So we recently had a lunch and learn with some teachers across the district and talked about what is simultaneous and how are we going to be successful in this environment. And so the key is to remember that we start with a remote first approach, because we know that we've got to speak to these children here. We don't know when we're going to flip back into the remote learning world. That can happen at any point, whether it's a snow day, right? Hopefully that's a fun way to stay home versus any kind of an illness. But if we continue to think with a remote first approach in mind when we're planning lessons, it definitely makes things easier. So we've given tips for success for our teachers. So things to think about here while we're planning is, of course, for teachers to start small and expand, to keep strategies and skills from that face-to-face environment, to keep using the same tried and true practices. Don't forget those, because this camera really does great things. We don't necessarily have to go through and do something super high tech. High tech is fun, of course, and engaging, but low tech is definitely accessible and available. Break down the content to the essentials. Include checks for understandings. So that's where we include some things like Microsoft Forms and the chat box and discussion posts, and just ways to kind of bring the students together and to check for understanding. And then, of course, mini lessons, and then sending them off for some asynchronous learning to check for understandings that way. So I know that that's like, woo, that's a lot of stuff. Those are some things that we're thinking about with our teachers. But what I think that's going to be the most interesting topic of discussion for us today is how to set up our classroom for success. So it's one thing to be the teacher and trying to figure out, like, how do we make sure that we're actually planning instruction appropriately? But honestly, to me, I think it needs to start with, how does your classroom look? And where do you have your technology set up? And where are your students? And are they able to be seeing the content in a way that's effective for teaching and learning, whether you are online or if you are face-to-face? So I thought it would be fun just to see a quick 3 blocks of mine with kids coming and going, and kind of the way my classroom was working when we were in the phasing process. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this, but we started small. We had most kids at home, as you can see on the TV screen above. And then we had a lot of kids that came in, a couple of kids that came in. And then between each class, of course, there is a small amount of time to run through and wipe everything down and clean it appropriately for the next group to come in. In case I didn't say it, I'm the music teacher. So you can see in my room, I've got about 120 kids on a normal, when we're not in a pandemic kind of phase, coming into my classroom a day. And so setting up the classroom to be successful and to move quickly so that transitions are effective was important. So I thought it would be fun to talk a little bit about that room setup. If you look here, you're going to see that there is the TV set at the top. And normally I have all of my remote learner students' faces here, so that the kids that are here face-to-face are sitting at the benches and they can see their friends on the TV screen, so they feel connected and together. That also is mirrored on my computer laptop screen here, so that if I'm standing here and teaching, I can see them, but then the kids can see them as well. So I just have an HDMI cable just running. And then I have the content displayed here on the screen for face-to-face learners, which is also mirrored on my second monitor, which you can barely see, it's right here. And that second monitor is what is screen shared to the remote kids. So the remote kids get to see this while we get to see this. They get to see each other. It's wonderful. I also have this little tiny webcam right here that's high def, it's wide lens, it gets almost the entire classroom. And so as you all know, at the very bottom of our screen where our pictures are currently, if you've got multiple cameras set up, you can just click the little switch camera button right in the middle of your lesson. And so there's times where I need to leave this space because we know that good teaching practice doesn't mean we're going to stand in one spot. So I'm able to be free and move around the room with a Bluetooth microphone, and they can see the whole class. And if you put it in large gallery, they can see like everybody's all together. And so it's just a really cool situation for kids at home and kids in school to feel like they're together. I, being the music teacher, am like big on sound. So I have the sound running through my laptop to my huge speakers, which are kind of hiding underneath some of the equipment we were using. And so as the kids are calling out and as they're answering questions and whatnot, they can hear each other loud and full sound, and then see each other talking on the screen. So they all just feel really connected and loved. It's wonderful. Elementary school, they really are thriving on getting to see each other.
And
I also,
Megan, if I could just for a second, one of the things, Megan's classroom is amazing. And one of the things that we're doing is we're actually looking at purchasing extra equipment for our teachers. And so one of the things we're adding is an external monitor, a Bluetooth microphone, and a document camera. So that's equipment that we identify with our Vanguard team would be most effective to help promote learning in this simultaneous environment. Sorry.
Right. So, no, that's good, Hoke. I know I had some stipend money, and so I went and grabbed that camera because, you know, you just, sometimes you get excited.
And as I always say, you can always get a Surface device that can work as a document camera, beautiful microphone. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
No,
I'll go back on mute.
Oh, no. Hey, like, we're family here. We're sharing together. The thing that I like to, like, when Hoke was talking about the document camera, I saved it for last because it's my favorite. I think it's the most useful thing that we can have. And most people can grab access to that pretty easily. So I'm able to turn the document camera and use it like you normally would, where you're sharing content right there on the desk. You know, you can make your book so they can see the book and screen share the app or spotlight yourself to make yourself bigger. But the other thing is, I used to have mine's turned up. I get a really close, clear view of what's happening on my board from the students. And I have an example of how I use that document camera. And then I just think that to me is the most powerful thing because it's a multifunctional tool all right there in that one little device. So that's how I set up my room. Now, other classrooms, like Hoke was saying, and I've got some pictures of other classrooms I'm going to show you. Mine's a little different because I'm a little extra, get a little excited. And I'm big on social emotional learning and finding ways to make the children feel included. And so anytime you can turn that document camera around even and show your class each other and they can see each other and engage with each other, I think it's sweet. It's a sweet moment to see the little kids' faces light up. Okay, so here is an example of me just kind of playing with the swivel to bring the kids together. So simultaneous learning, we have kids in the classroom and kids at home. So here.
All right, so now our friends here at school are going to try it for you. Listen carefully, look right there at them. They're right here on this camera. You see them? Do you see your friends? Do they go, whoop? You guys see her? Do it again. Oh, good. We're all going to copy. Everybody try it. Whoop. Good job. Good. Have a seat.
So there's a space to bring them together. And I think that when we're talking about simultaneous learning, there's a couple of things that we need to think about to be smart, right? We think about planning again with that remote first approach. So what are some tools and resources that you can use together so that you're not doing two separate lessons? You're doing one big solid lesson. Maybe again, like I said, using Microsoft Forms is a great way to gather information to see what the students understand, both at home and face-to-face at the same time. So finding ways for us to do that instead of giving paper, pencil here and this here to save us time, but then bringing in the class so that they can see each other. So the next one, I love bringing over the large gallery display and then adding it to the screen that I'm sharing so that kids can see each other. We do a lot of movement, and so they can see each other when they're moving and dancing, and it's really cute. So in the large gallery, of course, you're included on that screen. So depending on what angle you have your camera on, they can see the kids in the class moving and dancing, or they can see each other. Isn't it sweet? Okay. All right. So here is a little snippet from my class using that document camera. Flipped up, and I just opened up the document camera app and then screen shared it. So that way I can just kind of toggle in and out different things. So I am going to pop it over to my favorite screen. You're going to see me, Chef Endicott. I hope you're ready. Elementary school music is a whole different world.
You just saw. And I'm going to play with some Play-Doh with you, all of us together. Because I am cooking today with rhythms and Play-Doh.
Well, we're not all of us. I'm the one that doesn't have the Play-Doh.
Well, Carolyn, do you have a piece of paper and a pencil, my darling?
I'm using a dry erase board instead.
Oh, my word. You are so resourceful and brilliant. I love it. I love it, Carolyn. How smart are you, my darling? All right.
And
What's this?
board too.
You do? Look, I look at you. You guys are being so, look, if you just wanted to see everybody and how smart and resourceful they are at home, look at them. Look. Everybody's pulling out stuff. Oh my goodness. Okay, I love you guys. All right, here we go.
So like we're able to like show what's happening on the board. They can see what's happening in the classroom here. If I had a different classroom angle, if I had the camera pointing a different direction or I was using that other camera, and then I can bring them over to see each other super quickly, and they love that. Did you see their little faces? They're like, look at me. They just want attention, especially little people. Well, all people want attention. It's true. So finding ways to give people that attention, I think, is important, and they just eat it up. So I'm going to move on from my beautiful voice there and just show you a couple of quick, resourceful ideas. Speaking of being resourceful, that our teachers across the district have been trying to do to make sure that their classrooms are set for simultaneous learning. And then we'll take it to some questions. I know we're early, but there's so many questions I'm sure that you guys are pondering after seeing that. But having a document camera, and you see that they've even got it lifted and raised up. They've got their computer raised up just by using resources in their own classroom to make this like a standing desk, so that they actually are able to take what they have and change it up, make it work. So I like that. The rolling cart in the front of the classroom, that's taking the teacher away from their desk and moving them back to the front of the classroom. So when we lived in the remote only environment for so long, we were all kind of stationary in our space. And so when we started bringing the children back in the classroom, we had to find ways to get away from sitting at the desk, because we need to be moving around. You need to be able to monitor what's happening in the classroom with the students. You need to be in front of the board. You need to be, we just have to be mobile. So the rolling cart is a brilliant, quick way to take a teacher's desk and now move it away. And it's actually, movable. So if she wanted to do a quick little small group, or she wanted to showcase something, she can just spin that camera around, or she can carry it wherever she needs it to go. My giant cart, in fact, that I have my stuff on, has wheels on it so that it can move wherever it needs to go. So that's one way. Teachers, of course, have been thinking about unique ways to use tape. And I just thought, for those of you who are in a classroom or know somebody in a classroom struggling, tape is a best friend. And I just wanted to go ahead and show you that. Marking spaces with tape, especially for younger people to know where their space is, has been very helpful. So that is really all that I have for you today on simultaneous learning. Hoke, did you want to add anything to any of that?
No, great job, Megan. I think you've got a lot of comments where people would like to have you teach their children now. But But again, I think, looking at the technology that Megan is juggling in the classroom right now really speaks to the level of complexity that our teachers are dealing with now. And I mean, to say that they've handled it with grace and style is just an understatement. Our teachers are heroes. They've just done a remarkable job, and we're just so proud of all of them, especially Megan.
Yeah, and I just want to, I kind of want to piggyback on that. And so when we were looking, and Dave and I are always looking for who's going to talk, who's going to share. Number one, we are like super excited when we've got customers or folks that can share what's happening day to day, because that is so essential. And that's part of the reason why they'll be in this little video that Teams is putting out. It's kind of a teacher of the year montage. But even though Megan is an elementary music teacher, I think some of the things that you saw there, they're so applicable from K to 12 and even in higher ed. There, it's just one way to approach it. We thought that as people are phasing in, we're seeing numbers where people are coming back and then they're, turning around and having to turn back on the, that plan and go back to remote. So I love the idea of starting with remote first and kind of level setting with like, how do we want to approach this? And then the other thing that people are forgetting, and I love that that was one of your tips, was that the things you do face-to-face that are high quality teaching, those transfer online as well. And so being able to, keep that momentum like of the face-to-face high quality and then the social emotional learning. Like as adults, I don't know how many of you feel like I do, where we have to step away because I can't do another meeting. And think about our students that are in those situations. So Megan, I love the fact that you're helping your students that are at home feel like they're with their students face to face. So yeah, we've got time for questions. Dave, did you want to add anything first before questions start?
No, I think it's great. I love to see kind of the way that, you've taken this on your own. And, I see that from a lot of the best teachers, right, where they're embracing what they need to do to make their classroom work. And it's not always an IT problem. So it's great hearing kind of, you're figuring out how to make things work. And yeah, there's some instructional people that may have helped, but, you're making this work. And I love the tape thing. I might use that in my house, Heather.
It's kind of like a Les Nessman taping thing.
Not everybody's going to get that, Hoke.
That's okay. As long as you did, Dave. That's all I care about. That's good.
WKRP and don't mess with my walls. I think between the sales department and less. So Marge, of course you got that. So here's a question, Megan, as you and Hoke, as you guys were, kind of dealing with all these changes coming up, did this become an evolution? I mean, this wasn't all figured out on day one, I'm assuming. And then how did you transfer that learning to other folks within the district or the school?
Yeah.
So, the biggest thing for us has been professional development. We, being a large school system, we have over 90,000 students. Our district spans 75 miles from end to end with 100 schools. And we like to say we're beautifully diverse because Fulton is just an amazingly diverse district from north to south. With such a spread out geographic area, even before this started, we had to find different ways of layering support to provide professional development. So one of the things we did this summer, which was remarkable, is we stood up with Microsoft Teams. We stood up a virtual elementary school with Microsoft Teams, and our teachers developed the content for it. And so we did that in about 2 months. And so what that was able to do is teach us a lot of lessons about how we needed to structure things for the fall. And so we also walked as many of our Vanguard teachers through becoming MIE trainers so that they could go back to their schools and deliver the training. And then we've also leveraged the resources from Microsoft, both in person, virtually, face-to-face, and then also using the Microsoft Education Center. And then we have another group from a local State University's I Teach Center have come alongside us as well. We have office hours. I guess we should have talked to you first before we use the name, but we have office hours that they're able to grab, and we have those banded for different grade levels so that they can go in, and there's a couple of KSU coaches that are always there manning that throughout the day where teachers can get support. And so professional development, I mean, first, last, always. I mean, we're still working on that.
Excellent. No, that's great. And then as a teacher or instructor, how challenging has it been for, it sounds like you're kind of embracing this, and I'm sure your office hours aren't as much fun as Heather's and I, but, has there been a different learning paradigm for different teachers, different subjects? Has it been different for each, different groups of people?
Yeah, so that is definite, and everyone's in a different place. We're in different places with just technology backgrounds and understanding, but also just personality and mindsets as well. So having to overcome a lot it's just different everywhere across the board. I think what's good to remember is to gravitate to the people who are willing to help you on the journey, right? So you don't feel alone, and build a network and community. One thing that we did at my school specifically, and I can speak towards the district too, but in my school specifically, we have a PLC Microsoft team, and we have a channel dedicated to tech support. We have like our own little tech support with the caution cone. That our extension to our Vanguard team. So we have 4 Vanguard members, but we have a franchise. Thank you, Heather Cox, which is our franchise of the Vanguard team. So there are dedicated members on each grade level that help us man that little tech support area. And then bigger picture, the Vanguard team as a whole has a Microsoft team where we do a lot of spot checks and problem solving to help each other. And so sometimes a teacher will come to me and go, I'm having this problem. I'm like, stand by, let me check. And I look at the Vanguard when I'm like, okay, it's universal, and someone's already put in a little like, try this. Okay, so give it a shot, let me know. So and it's like
the cool things we're doing with that Vanguard channel where there's a ask a Microsoft question. Our IT folks kind of lurk in there. Now they won't answer questions in there, but that's the canary in the mine. Like, we know if there's a problem or if something's bubbling up, it's going to hit the Vanguard people first, because those are the teachers that are hitting this stuff hard, and they watch that. And that's kind of like their early warning detection system, is if things start popping in that channel in our team, then they start jumping on it really quickly.
Awesome.
Yeah, and just Andrew posted just that his high school algebra class is very similar. So what they've done is shared screen 1 device, which is Surface Book 2 or 3, Hoke. Swivel device. If those of you who are unfamiliar with what a swivel device is, it's a device that the person, an individual can wear something around their neck, and basically as they move, this device, you have like an iPad or something, something that films, and it follows you around. So it will, if you move around the classroom, it follows you around. So the swivel device runs the camera and mic. Teachers use a second computer sometimes instead of the swivel. One of the things that Fulton also did, but using SDS to pre-populate the classes, helped ease teachers into it. So, when you've got that in there, it was kind of like, here's the class, you can kind of get ready to go.
And we actually just did a pretty scary thing. We moved from School Data Sync using the not the CSV files, and we've gone back to using the CSV files to populate the School Data Sync. That was a pretty smooth transition. One of the other pieces we were able to do, because we pulled it back in, was allow teachers combining sections in our our student information system. And then that way teachers that, and again, this is getting real K-12-y for you guys that are in higher ed, but if you teach a section of math, you might have an on-level, an advanced, and a beginners, and they want to be able to combine those as they want to. And so now they can do that, combine those sections into teams, and they can just do all that automatically.
Awesome. Any other final questions that anybody has? You can either raise your hand or come off of mute. Perfect.
Or if you just want to join the Megan Endicott fan club.
We do have. We do have one question.
I don't see the chat box. I hope it's all good.
No,
it is all
read
amazing.
It out loud. No, people said that they want to be in your class. I have literally been in her class, and that's what part of the reason that she's on this call today, because I have witnessed it in person. But we do have a hand raised, so come off of mute and go ahead and ask your question.
Hi, this is Nuroz. We do use SDS, and we have had a lot of issues with there where the sections are duplicate and the groups, the teachers see too many teams, and so you said you went away from SDS and just
No.
use no.
So it's still using School Data Sync, but we're not using, Dave, help me. It's not the CSV, it's the.
You're not using the.
It's the API. It's either API or CSV.
API, thank you. We're not using the API anymore. We're feeding it through the CSV. And so what that helped us do was allow our data warehouse to do some of the manipulation on the back end and set the rules so that the sections would be controlled by our student information system. And then we're using Infinite Campus for our student information system. And so that allows the teachers then to combine sections in their grade book, which then turns over, it feeds it into the data warehouse, and then we can feed that to School Data Sync. But we are absolutely, I don't think we could do this without School Data Sync. That's been a real key piece for us.
So that's good to know, because we are now in that stage. This is our second semester, and we still are running into issues where there are too many teams, too many duplicate teams. So okay, that will give us some. Thank you for the idea. We can do that.
Your data warehouse people are going to cringe a little bit when you tell them you want to go to CSV, but what it did is it gave us a lot more control, and it took care of a lot of the problems that we had.
That's good to know. Thank you for sharing.
You might have to buy him a puppy, but it'll be okay.
Okay, well, thank you, Megan and Hoke. They are just, like I said, they're not only amazing at their jobs, they're just really cool people, and I'm really privileged that I get to continue working with them, even though I jumped ship on them. So I'm glad I get to stay on their team. When their amazing commercial debuts, we'll have to showcase it on here. Honestly, you guys will love it. It features about 5 different teachers, and 3 of those teachers are from Fulton County, and they are on the team that Hoke mentioned, the Vanguard team. So it's a quick 30-second commercial. We'll share it when it's released, but I'm going to stop the recording.
Awesome. Great job. Really appreciate